full recovery, which means we are currently tracking about 9 individuals in the territory with active viruses that we have documented. We currently have 1 COVID-19 patient hospitalized at the 1F Louis Hospital and 2 individuals at Roy Lester Schneider. 1 is positive and one is under investigation at that facility. All of these patients are in stable condition and none of them are using ventilators at this time. This week we were visited by the Army Corps of Engineers who were in the territory, and they were making assessments of various spots, of various sites, to ascertain whether they could quickly build medical facilities if we experience a surge that other states are experiencing. That surge would have exceeded our hospital capacity, and we would need these extra beds if this were to happen. We should have a report in the territory by next week that lets us know where those facilities are, what it will take to get them in function, and how long it would take us to get those facilities up and running. In the meantime, though, we have already begun the initial surge overflow preparations at both the Roy Lester Schneider Hospital and the Juan Louis Hospital. Those arrangements that will allow them to accommodate extra patients should be complete by Monday. Yesterday, we also received approval from the President for the deployment of our National Guard under Title 32 of the Stafford Act. This means that FEMA will fund 100% of these activities associated with preventing, mitigating, and responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these things will be taken on board by our National Guard forces as we use them to augment our law enforcement as well as our logistical capacities over the coming weeks as we continue to deal with the COVID-19 disaster. We also have some airline cancellations. Our initial move to restrict new reservations at hotels and Airbnbs continue to bear fruit as airlines continue to cancel trips into the territory. We were notified last night that Spirit Airlines is the latest to cancel flights into the territory. They have discontinued operations from April 8th to May 5th. We've been monitoring flights that are coming into the Virgin Islands, and the average passenger load on the jets that are coming in is about 30 people from the mainland. Those people are being advised by the health department that they're under 14-day quarantine, and we're tracking them to make sure that we try to keep people as safe as possible. So even though this downturn is welcome, the Commissioner of Tourism and his team are still working with the airlines to make sure that we have some access to airlift out of the territory for people who need to go to the mainland for medical services, and medical people and other personnel, government personnel, people doing business in the territory can still fly in and help us out. There's been a lot of newspaper reports about people violating the Airbnb and via verbal decree mandating that people are not supposed to be intaking people into villas and the like in the Virgin Islands. I want to say 2 things about this. The first thing is that we always have to keep in mind what was the purpose of the mandate. The purpose of the mandate was to keep airlines from bringing people to the airport. We have succeeded in that. Like I said earlier, we're averaging about 30 people per flight or less. So in terms of keeping people out of the territory who may be bringing the virus in, we have been successful. There's a lot. We have also been successful in getting the reservation system shut down for Airbnb. We do not have an agreement with Verbo and other entities that are registering people, so they're a little hard to monitor. So our intent was never to shut down hotels. Our intent was to keep people from coming in at the airport, and we have succeeded in that. As we move through this, there are a lot of things that are happening nationally and internationally, but one of the things I want to do today is I really want to urge the small business community to utilize every single benefit that the federal government is making available. Specifically, you should check out the Small Business Association's website, Small Business Administration website, sba.gov, for the Paycheck Protection Program and other similar initiatives. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program specifically is a loan designed to provide direct payment incentive for small businesses to keep your workers on payroll, to pay your rent, and to pay your utilities. Now get this, the SBA will forgive the loan if all your employees are kept on the payroll for 8 weeks and the money is used, like I said, for the rent, payroll, mortgage interest, or your utilities. This program is for any small business with less than 500 employees, and it's an amazing opportunity that would be a shame. It would be a terrible shame of you not to take advantage of it. Now, businesses with 500 or less, that's about 95% of the businesses in the Virgin Islands. You can go on sba.gov and get more information about this. The EDA is running seminars and webinars to allow people to learn more information about what there is to offer. But this program allows you to pay your employees for 8 weeks, pay your mortgage interest, pay your utilities, pay your rent, and the loan is going to be forgiven. So I urge each one and every one of you to go out and make sure you check on this. I want you guys out there, I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it, you got to take this seriously. For the most part, most of you have done good in our community, following the Department of Health and the CDC guidance. Everything that I say has been followed for the most part to help to contain the spread of this virus. But we still have some knuckleheads in our community that are not taking this seriously enough. I would like to remind you that the Virgin Islands is under a state of emergency and a stay-home order. That order is in place for all essential, or all non-essential workers, businesses, and employers and employees for public and private sector until November 30th. I want to read that to you again because the Virgin Islands is under a state of emergency and a stay-at-home order for all non-essential businesses and non-essential employees, public sector and private sector, until April 30th. So far, you know, I told the Commissioner of Police, Commissioner of Licensing, we're not going to make the innocent suffer for the guilty. We're going to shut down businesses. We're going to shut you down, and if we have to shut you down permanently, we're going to do that as well. If you're going to have people congregating outside your business or being in groups of more than 10 inside the establishment and not paying attention to our order. And so far we've had to issue 1 citation in St. Croix and close 4 businesses. And in the St. John district, we've had to close 11 businesses. We have too many repeat offenses, and I've instructed our law enforcement to adhere to a strict 1-strike rule. If you are caught in violation of the order, we will be forced to shut you down. There's currently no curfew in effect in the USVI, and there's no real plans for the immediate future to put in a curfew. We have found that in this instance, a curfew is counterproductive to achieving our goals that we want to under the COVID containment strategies recommended by Health and CDC. A prime example of this is what's occurring in the BVI now. When you have a curfew and then you let people out, everyone goes to the grocery store, everyone goes to the gas station, everyone goes to the bakery. And what you're doing is you're creating the same thing that you've been trying to avoid for the last week. So it encourages residents en masse to come out and to participate in shopping and what the like. We hope to avoid curfews, but if we are unable, if you won't help us to cooperate, we're going to have to do it. We're hoping that you keep the social distancing in place and it will not become necessary. So I'm appealing to everybody within the sound of my voice that if you love your community, if you love your friends, if you love your family, then urge them to take this seriously. Urge them to stay off the streets and stay home. Urge them to practice safe social distancing. Avoid close contact with others not in your household. Assume everyone is infected. Like this article I was reading this weekend, it said, pretend that everybody's a smoker and you don't want secondhand smoke. Imagine a cloud of smoke around them. That's how far you should be staying home from individuals. One of the things that I realize is I'm preaching to the choir on these things because most of you who are watching are the most concerned for your community, for your health, and for your loved ones. So I'm going to count on you now to go a little further. And when you see people violating the social distancing rule, when you see people doing the wrong thing, your children who come into your house want to go out, your young people who live with you, tell them to stay at home. Stay at home. It's the only way we're going to beat this thing. We've been moving at a really good clip, but I tell you, it can get out of hand very, very quickly. We have people in the hospital now. We have emerged into a new level of this COVID-19 epidemic. Now that we have hospitalized people, it's a different game. We're looking at it every single day, keeping the least amount of people infected as possible. So work with me so I can work with you in keeping our people safe, keeping your mama, your children safe. Imagine how bad you would feel if you're the one that brings home this to your family, if you're the one that causes the first death in the Virgin Islands. So stick to your home, stick to your house. You know, you could go out in your yard, take a walk, but avoid people. Take a drive, but avoid people. I just want to remind the press as I close today that you have to, we haven't been saying this, so I need your help too with the press to remind people, if you want the updates all the time, it's simple. Text COVID-19 USVI to 888-777, and we'll keep you constantly updated about everything that we find. As soon as we know it, you will know it. And for the media, you have to tune in and listen to the conference call and not the Facebook or the WTJX showing of this, because that's 15 to 30 seconds delayed. So if you have any questions now, we'll entertain them at this time. I know we have 3 questions. People are already raised their hands, so we could proceed at this point. We also have the Commissioner of Health here to answer any questions that may be beyond my expertise. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, Governor.
Good afternoon.
Siba Knight over at the St. Correas. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome, sick. I just had 3 quick questions. First, has COVID-19 slowed down the IPD search for an alternative to 45 Mars Hill? They have the issue of the mold there. Then, what's the plan for schools? Do children have enough lesson plans with the extensions? And how will we make up days if that's a consideration? And then finally, there's a rise in domestic abuse cases in the territory. With so many calls for officers to go to citizens' residence, how are the police protecting themselves? Do they have access to PPE, that sort of thing? Thank you, sir.
We just got another shipment of PPEs in, I think the day before yesterday. We're distributing those PPE equipment to officers now. We're trying to get out as many masks as possible. I know I'm going to get the mask question today. People, if you want to wear a mask in public, it can't hurt. Wear the mask. The other question you asked about Mars Hill, at this point, all we're focusing on is this specific crisis. We've always been trying to take measures to make sure that our people have safe work environments to work in. What was the third question? I think it was 2 out of 3 I got. Maybe I answered 2 one time. Other questions? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Governor. It's AJ Rao with the Daily News.
Hey, AJ.
I I just had a question regarding the relief checks. I think you addressed this in a previous press briefing. I just thought you could reiterate for the public's sake about just the basics, the eligibility for the checks, how will the checks come in, whether it be a direct deposit or through the mail, and when can we expect the checks to arrive?
The Treasury has set a date of April 24th for the issue of their checks. Ours should be soon thereafter. Unlike states, we collect our own federal income tax, so that money would have to come out of us. We're working with them to figure out how to get those checks to people. It's about $1,200 per person on average. We estimate it's about $45 million of new revenue for the territory. We're working out the logistics behind those checks now, but we anticipate that they would be out before the beginning of May. We've already started to assemble the guidelines and all of the names and addresses for those checks to be distributed, and they will be distributed by mail. We heard that senior citizens who don't file a tax don't have to file a provisional tax form. Now they're going to use it by Social Security number, and all those checks will come by mail. So we're working on that to get that out. We're doing all the prelims, but the money part, we're talking to Treasury and how it's going to be distributed in the Virgin Islands. On the specifics in terms of the income limits, I don't have that information in front of me, but I'll make sure I'll have it for you at the next press conference. So by May, we should have those checks as well.
And my last question, sir, this might be for the Health Commissioner as well. Regarding testing, now that we are getting more capability to test on island, is the Health Department going to be expanding its testing in the territory? Drive-through testing, mass testing, are these things that are being considered? And are there going to be certain people who are going to be prioritized over other people as far as testing?
Good afternoon, everyone. We are actually going to expand our testing capabilities even more when we are able to acquire the 45-minute test. That has not reached to the territory as yet. We also need to manage the number of viral media and test sampling kits that we actually have. So right now we're testing those that are high risk, those that are hospitalized, and now we're able to run those tests within our public health lab and get those numbers to us, or the positive negatives, within a 24-hour period. We'll let you know when we have more equipment available and when we can actually complete more, like you consider it, mass testing. Right now we do not have that capability based on our availability of supplies.
Next question.
Good afternoon, Governor. This is Sarah Burke with TV2 News 2. We wanted to find out, realistically speaking, how well prepared is the territory's infrastructure to address the online influx of people that are going to be soliciting unemployment funds using the World Wide Web, as well as the individuals who are going to be going to Human Services website to be able to acquire applications and things of that magnitude to receive additional funding and services. How is the Virgin Islands infrastructure prepared at this time to be able to address that, specifically with the influx of people coming to the Department of Labor and Human Services website?
Well, at this point, we don't have any Human Services excuse me, benefits that are being offered at the Department of Labor website. I would say they're very well prepared. Remember, we did this 2 years ago without power, without electronics, and without all the support that we needed. So we're doing the same exercise with all of the resources available. I think they're well equipped. As a former commissioner of labor, we did it also under ARA, where we had a large influx of unemployment insurance. So that team is well trained. They need some more resources at this point, but they're going to be okay.
Well, we want to take the opportunity to thank you, Governor, for all that you've been doing and keeping the community abreast, as well as to Justa Encarnacion, who's doing an excellent job as Commissioner of Health and keeping the community abreast in terms of our latest changes. And we just say, stay coronavirus free. Get your mental health on, Governor, and make sure that you keep our people informed. This has been Sarah Burke with TV2.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the opportunity to do some teaching. You saw that the governor coughed in his hand, and now he's coughing in his sleeve. That is the right thing to do, but I'm going to do something even better. Here, Governor. Here you go. Okay? And so that's a lesson to each and every one of you, so that you remember, cough in your sleeve, and then when you greet others emotionally with a sign. And I think that that's one of the things that we can all learn from. Thanks for teaching us that, Governor.
I know people in the field must be saying, oh my God, the governor is coughing. Is he okay? I'm fine, okay? I just have a ticklish throat. Next question.
Yes, Ernst Gould with the consortium. A few questions. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
First is for the Commissioner of Health. The latest numbers from DOH have been coming from, first from Vicumens Alert. And so first you would get that we have some new cases in, and then a second alert would give a breakdown per island. So 24 in St. Thomas, 11 in St. Croix, 2 in St. John. But there is no information as to whether there is community spread, at least for the latest updates, whether there is community spread, if it was a male, female, whether we have folks in ICU, whether we have any persons in ICU at all, to give a clearer picture of exactly what is happening with COVID in the territory. And a follow-up on that for the Commissioner of Health also is, please give a clear explanation again as to how the Department of Health measures when someone has recovered. So I know we have 20 folks recovered according to the Department of Health. Please give a clear explanation as to how you come up with those numbers. Thanks.
Thank you for that question. We are providing updates on our website as well as other areas on the community spread. In St. Croix, we have 2 community individuals who have said to transmitted or caught the virus through community spread. In St. Thomas, it's 10. Remember that some of those are family member related, and so I want you to bear that in mind as you hear those numbers. And we report that on a daily basis as well. In reference to the individuals who we've said have resolved, we have to remember, let me just explain this to you in this way. We want you to quarantine for 14 days. So we put you as a PUI, you're positive, and you're staying in isolation or quarantine for 14 days. Before those 14 days are up, you seem as though your symptoms have gone. You still have to remain within 14 days. So in other words, you remain in quarantine 3 days post-symptoms, 3 days after fever or any of the other symptoms related with COVID-19. If by chance your 14 days come and you're still symptomatic, you still have to remain in quarantine until 3 days after your symptoms are actually resolved. And that's the way that we are actually be able to track you. We have someone from our epidemiology department that's working very hard from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, and they call you if you're on our list. Every day you're called, and we check on your symptoms. We check on to see how you're doing, if there's anything that you need. We focus not just on your physical, but your emotional health as well. So all of those things are combined in reference to seeing whether or not you have been resolved, or you have been, you're no longer said to be a positive patient for COVID-19. I hope that answered your question.
The other piece of that too, Ernest, you have the ability to email my communications director, the Commissioner of Health, if you want more detailed information. The COVID-19 USVI that we sent out only has 132 characters, so we can't put every piece of information on there. But like the Commissioner said, it's listed at the website. If you want specific information, you could email us and we will give you that information. We want people to have as much information as possible. The other thing is I think Monday or Tuesday, Dr. Ellis is scheduled to come on virtual, the same thing I do, the virtual town hall meeting, and she will be really go into detail about what we found, demographics, island-wise, old, young, male, female. I was shocked to find out that this disease is affecting more males than female. I think it's 70% male, worldwide, not in the Virgin Islands. That came as a shock to me too. But as we learn more about the disease, we share it with you. We want to make you feel like you have all the information. Other questions?
Hi, good afternoon, Luciba Knight. I just wanted to follow up on my question about schools.
Yeah.
My question is...
Yeah, that was the other piece of the question. Thank you, Luciba. So we haven't decided yet whether we're going to close schools for the rest of the year or not. We're going to have that conversation. It's 3 weeks now since we've closed schools, so they've run out of information. We are getting in some funds under the CARES Act, which will allow us probably to deploy our internet-based learning a little better. So what we're doing now is strategizing how to do that. What's the best way to set up hotspots, or how do we get our seniors graduated on time with the credits, and how do we address all those young people that need to have that education as we move into the summer. So by next week, we'll have an answer for you on that, and we'll be making an announcement with the Commissioner of Education on what we're doing about school. One more question?
Thank you.
Yes, Governor, and Gilbert again, Fair Consortium. This one is for you, Governor. In your release about the disaster declaration, major disaster declaration from the White House that was granted, you said it wasn't expansive enough. Can you expound on what you would like to see and even further action expanding that disaster declaration? And does the current declaration include DSNAP?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It does not include DSNAP. So it didn't really change our designation much. We were already available for Cat B funds. We had Cat B funds availability from FEMA already. So the White House declaration, Part A and Part C, are still under review. DSNAP is one of the things that we would like to see as we move forward with this. We also have other support things that we would want to do now, because we need to look at areas for people in case we have law enforcement or medical personnel that need to be quarantined away from their houses. We got seniors that still need deliveries to their homes in terms of transportation, the expansion of our Vitran Plus market to be able to get more people to where they need to go to. We would love to see a temporary structure of about 50 beds. We need ventilators. We would love to get an oxygen machine in here. The one thing that we're also already looking at, and I have to say the Director Josh and my team is doing a really good job, is hurricane season is 2 months away. May, June. June 1 begins hurricane season. So we're even looking forward as far as that to look forward to see how do we manage this if we have to have a hurricane sheltering and everything we have to do. So lots of different moving parts on the table now, but we're trying to give you all the information that you need to get through this next week. I want to remind people, no camping this Easter. Remember to spread out. Everybody doesn't have to go to the same beach. We're going to be putting in some measures. We may be closing down some beaches just because of the concentrations we've seen there, or at least limiting their hours to the daylight hours, probably sometime between 7 and 5. So look for those announcements coming out. As I said, no need to run to the store and create any hoarding. Everything is normal. But I do want to emphasize again to my business community, please go on sba.gov and get that information out there. It's free money. It's going to help you. It's going to help our community. I know you guys are out there scared, anxious, but we're doing everything to make sure that you and your family is going to be okay through this. And lastly, all I have to say is stay at home. God bless you. God bless the Virgin Islands.
De costumbre, con una actualización sobre dónde estamos a partir de hoy en nuestros esfuerzos por contener la propagación del coronavirus en el territorio. Hasta la fecha, hemos completado pruebas en 248 individuos para COVID-19 en el territorio. 154 de esas pruebas dieron negativo, 38 positivos y tenemos 56 pendientes. 29 de los 38 han realizado una recuperación completa, lo que significa que actualmente estamos rastreando a 9 individuos en el territorio con el COVID-19. Tenemos un paciente positivo con COVID-19 hospitalizado en el Hospital Juan Francisco Luis y 2 individuos, uno positivo y otro bajo investigación, hospitalizados en el Centro Médico Regional Roy Lester Schneider. Todos estos pacientes están en condición estable y ninguno está utilizando ventiladores en este momento. El Cuerpo de Ingenieros recientemente estuvo en el territorio evaluando posibles ubicaciones para la construcción rápida de instalaciones médicas si experimentamos una oleada que supera nuestra actual capacidad hospitalaria. Esperamos tener el informe para la próxima semana con la determinación final sobre estas instalaciones auxiliares. Mientras tanto, ya hemos comenzado los preparativos iniciales de desbordamiento de sobretensiones en ambos hospitales y esos arreglos deben estar completos para el lunes. Ayer recibimos la aprobación para el despliegue de la Guardia Nacional bajo el título 32 de la Ley Stanford. Esto significa que FEMA financiará el 100% de las actividades asociadas con la prevención, la mitigación y la respuesta a la pandemia COVID-19 emprendida por la Guardia Nacional. Como tal, verá un mayor despliegue de nuestros guardias en la aplicación de la ley y capacidades logísticas en los próximos días. Nuestro movimiento inicial para restringir nuestras reservaciones en hoteles y hospederías siguen dando sus frutos a medida que las aerolíneas continúan cancelando viajes al territorio. Spirit Airlines es el último en cancelar vuelos al territorio. Sus operaciones entre el 8 de abril y el 5 de mayo han sido interrumpidas. Hemos estado monitoreando vuelos a las Islas Vírgenes y el promedio de pasajeros en estas son de 30 personas por vuelo, procedentes de los diferentes estados en la nación. A pesar de la recesión ser bienvenida en estos momentos, el comisionado de Turismo y su equipo continúan trabajando con las aerolíneas para facilitar vuelos en caso de emergencias y servicios médicos. Quiero instar a la comunidad de pequeñas empresas a utilizar todos los beneficios que el gobierno federal le puso a su disposición. Específicamente, usted debe echar un vistazo al sitio web de la Asociación de Pequeñas Empresas, sba.gov, para el programa de protección de cheques de pago y otras iniciativas similares. El programa de protección de cheques de pago es un préstamo diseñado para proporcionar un incentivo directo para que las pequeñas empresas mantengan a sus trabajadores en nómina. SBA perdonará los préstamos si todos los empleados se mantienen en la nómina durante 8 semanas y el dinero se utiliza para exactamente eso, la nómina, alquiler, intereses hipotecarios o servicios públicos. Este programa es para cualquier pequeña empresa con menos de 500 empleados. Esta es una oportunidad increíble y sería una pena no aprovecharla. Tomemos esto en serio. En su mayor parte, hemos hecho el bien como comunidad al seguir la guía del Departamento de Salud y el CDC para ayudar a contener la propagación de este virus, pero todavía tenemos algunos en nuestra comunidad que no están tomando esto lo suficientemente serio. Me gustaría recordarles que las Islas Vírgenes están bajo un estado de emergencia y una orden de mantenerse en casa. Este pedido está en vigor para todas las empresas y empleados no esenciales y del sector público y privado hasta el 30 de abril. Hasta ahora hemos tenido que emitir una citación y cerrar 4 negocios en Santa Cruz y hemos cerrado 11 negocios en el distrito de San Tomás, St. John. Hemos tenido demasiadas reincidencias y he ordenado a nuestra policía a adherir las reglas. Si usted es atrapado en violación de la orden, en su primera instancia nos veremos obligados a cerrarlo. Actualmente no hay toque de queda en las Islas Vírgenes, tampoco tenemos planes en el futuro inmediato para implementar uno. Hemos encontrado que en este caso un toque de queda es contraproducente para lograr las estrategias de contención recomendadas por el Departamento de Salud y el CDC. Un buen ejemplo de esto ocurrió en nuestras islas hermanas, en las Islas Vírgenes británicas, donde había informes de residentes fuera en masa para abastecerse de los suministros necesarios una vez que se levantó el toque de queda. Si bien esperamos evitar el toque de queda, si no somos capaces de regular adecuadamente el distanciamiento social, aquí esto también será necesario. Por último, estoy apelando a todos, si amas a tu comunidad, si amas a tus amigos, si amas a tu familia, entoncesínstalos a tomar esta crisis en serio. Inste a que se mantengan alejados de las calles y se queden en casa. Inste a practicar el distanciamiento social. Evite el contacto cercano con otras personas que no estén en su hogar. Supongamos que todos estamos infectados. Si desea recibir actualizaciones con respecto al COVID-19, por favor, envíe un mensaje de texto a COVID-19 USVI al 888-777 para recibir todas las actualizaciones. Gracias.